Emma Barratt, candidate number 1043. I've observed the Hillcrest centre. It's in the red and black. So I've highlighted a few strengths and weaknesses of the centre. But netball is a combination of fast glycosidic muscle fibres and slow oxidative muscle fibres, as it's like a team game. As netball is a dynamic sport, this sees varying intensities of exercise, and the heart rate responds and fluctuates in line with demands placed upon it. So one strength of the centre was her chest passes. This was clearly seen by as she had started with a two-hand catch position. I had the ball at chest height, ensuring fingers spread behind the ball, keeping elbows low and relaxed, and transferred her weight forward to push the ball and extended her arms and wrists. And obviously followed through with her hands, pushing the ball to get where it needed to be to her opponent, her teammate. So the elbow joint is essential for creating power in the chest pass. So in the preparation phase, the bicep brachii will concentrically contract to flex the elbow. In the execution phase, the tricep brachii concentrically contracts to extend the elbow joint through a large range of motion to generate a large force to apply to the ball. The chest pass would demonstrate a first-class lever. So the effort would be the bicep brachii, the fulcrum, the elbow joint, and the load the ball. As flexion of the elbow during the chest pass would demonstrate this first-class lever. It is important to have a really good chest pass, because in netball you can't dribble or kick the ball down the court. So the only way to get the ball down the court is passing, and chest pass is one of the crucial passes used in netball to deliver and have an opportunity to shoot. Another strength of the centre was her composure, as she remained calm and controlled throughout the match, even though it was a close-heated match, as it was a final. It's important to netball to have composure, to remain calm and minimise mistakes, and to remain in possession. The inverted U theory shows that the centre had increased her arousal levels to an optimum level, at a moderate arousal level. After this point, an increase in arousal level would lead to a deterioration in performance. However, she was at her optimum performance, making it look relaxed, and she was calm when she was giving these chest passes and playing the game. The skills performed in netball are simple and gross. So at a high arousal level, helps to facilitate the performance by the audience. As this is because these types of skills do not require high perceptual processing and are often dynamic in nature and require high levels of arousal or drive. So this was seen how she was calm under the pressure. Another strength was her speed. So in netball, it's really important to have good speed to get away from a defender. This was seen by her attacking drives, as the weight of her weight was on the balls of her feet, and her ankles and knees were flexed, and her head and eyes were on the ball. So her drive was pulling her knees forward and through, taking the ball at full speed, jumping, controlling that land, and using her arms to drive forward and away from the defender. Speed is the maximum rate at which an individual is able to cover a distance or perform a movement in a chosen period of time. It is a combination of reaction time and movement time. It's a key component of fitness. As netball is an anaerobic activity, the player relies heavily on the ATP, PC, and glycosidic systems, making timeouts essential tactical part of the play. Glycosidic and aerobic threshold after the counter attack in netball results in a goal being scored. The player jogs back into a position ready for the next centre pass to be taken. The intensity significantly reduces and therefore sufficient oxygen available for aerobic systems to take over, provide most energy for ATP resynthesis, and this relates to the speed aspect. Another advantage would be her catching. So as I said earlier, the only way to get the ball down to your goal shooters is to throw and catch. So having good catching skills is crucial to have an opportunity to shoot, as that's how you get the ball down to your goal shooters and goal attacks. She did this by keeping her eyes on the ball, and she moved to reach towards the ball. She had that W shape behind when she was going to catch the ball, and she moved her feet to get closer, and her fingers obviously squeezed the ball to remain in possession. The player clearly is at the automated stage, as she was doing this quite fluidly, and the skill was automatic. This is the third stage of learning. Another advantage would be her decision making. So she was able to be aware of the better options. So this is really crucial in feeding the circle. So she was quick on making decisions, and this helps to make sure the goal shooter and goal attack have like really good space to put up the shot. This could be due to use of varied practice, because netball is an open sport. Situations change almost all the time, so using that varied practice helps to aid your decision making. Another strength of the centre was her stage 2 defence. So stage 2 defence is taking up that 0.9 metre position in front of the player as quickly as possible. So she fully stretched over the ball and covering the space as near as possible to the ball without touching it, because if you touch it, then that's contact on the ball and it's kind of like a penalty. So she shadowed the ball with her hands and focused kind of like on the eyes of the player, and so she could like kind of predict which way she was going to pass the ball. Another strength of the centre was her reaction time. This could be due to like the cues in her environment, so this is known as cue utilisation. The attention is more effective if the performer concentrates on the cues that are relevant in a particular time. So, for example, in netball, the centre pass or even interception is made. So once a centre pass has been made, once the centre needs to be taken, a goal would have been scored, and then using that cue, the centre can get back to the centre circle as quickly as possible. This is really important in netball, so you can take a really fast centre pass. This benefits you as an attack because it doesn't let your opposition defence set up as quickly. So if you're there fast and you can just give the ball straight away, then the centre can't really take up that stage 2 defence, and the wing defence and goal defence can't really take up that stage 1 defence of teeing up against the wing attack and goal attack. Balance is another strength of hers, as she was able to hold herself when she caught the ball and abide by the footwork rule, 9.6 in the rule book. This is important in netball as it helps to not break the footwork rule. So if you break the footwork rule, then the possession of the ball goes from yours to the opposition, and this gives a free pass away and results in the loss of possession. This was due to her good core stability, as she was able to hold her body. The definition of a balance is the ability to maintain the centre of mass over a base of support. One of her weaknesses, another strength, was her awareness. So as I said earlier, her feeding the circle was excellent, as her ball placement was good, as the goal shoot and goal attacks was able to take the centre's passes and put up the shot. Awareness is really important in netball, so you can get the best option, and especially in feeding the circle, because feeding the circle is where most interceptions are made in like netball by the goalkeeper and the goal defence, like scoping out the situation. However, some strength, that's all the strengths. So one of the weaknesses of the centre was her shoulder passes, as it wasn't like fast and flat how shoulder passes should be. They were like slow and loopy, and this is a weakness, as shoulder passes need to be fast and flat so they can't be intercepted. Whereas if they were slow and loopy, then the defensive team can kind of pick up these passes and have time to react as they were slow. So to have the optimum shoulder pass, you need to take out a balancing stance with the opposite foot forward to the throwing arm to get maximum power. Move ball just above the shoulder with fingers spread behind the ball, and your weight transferred from the front leg. And if you need support, then you use your other arm to just support the side of the ball, but it should be predominantly one hand on the ball. This is an example of first cast lever, where the fulcrum is the middle of the load and the effort. So in the body, the elbow joint is the fulcrum, where when the lower arm is extended, and the tricep acts as the effort, and the elbow is a fulcrum, and the ball is the load. And this is an example of a gross skill. Interceptions was another weakness of hers. So intercepting in the game is really crucial for the defensive. So she never really went for any interceptions during the game, and this is a clear weakness, as to get back in possession of the ball, you need to make an interception to gain possession. This could be due to her past experiences for maybe overcommitting on some of her interceptions, and this makes her not want to do interceptions anymore. Another weakness was her positioning. So when marking her players, instead of being side on where you can see the player and the ball, she was kind of flat, so she could either see either the player or the ball, not both at the same time. It is important to be side on and see the ball and the player, as you know where the player is kind of running to, so you can anticipate the pass of the ball and the run of the player to make an interception. This could be due to so another weakness of her play was her stamina. Stamina is the ability to continue exercising or being active after doing so for a long period of time. This is using her aerobic respiration system and her cardiovascular system. This system has the aerobic respiration system has 3 clear stages. The stage 1 is the aerobic glycolysis. This occurs in muscle cells, cytoplasm, where glucose is broken down into pyruvic acid. Stage 2 is the Krebs cycle, where carbon dioxide produces the hydrogen atoms and are removed. Stage 3 is electron transport chain, which also occurs in the mitochondria. The hydrogen atoms combine with NAD and /FAD, and the hydrogen electrons split into hydrogen atoms, which combine with oxygen to form water. Another weakness of hers was the communication. This could be due to her personality traits, so she could be introvert. So this is a person who doesn't seek for social situations like peaceful and quiet environments. This shows that the team dynamics, also it could be due to the team dynamics, so the team's kind of in the norming characteristics, so the roles and responsibilities aren't really clear, and actually no, that's wrong. The team dynamics show, so the team dynamics should be a norming situation, so the characteristics, so to avoid this communication failure, the roles and responsibilities should be clear, so they have a strong community and be very social, so that would increase the communication. communication is really important in netball to make like interceptions and like making it turnovers, to get in possession of the ball, to like force errors. So if you're talking with your team, it kind of like makes the feeder feel a bit more pressurised and makes a feeder error. That makes you in possession of the ball. So this wasn't seen by the centre. She wasn't really calling anything like a drop, like saying drop to her players, or like a left or a right, directing which way the ball's going to go. That wasn't really seen by the player. Another weakness of hers was her clear dodge. So instead of her feet should be like shoulder width apart, and they just were too close, or like her stance was too big, and her body should be weight over her feet, and a strong push off from her outside foot, and a quick turn of the hips, and the upper body should be upright, and then sprint off in another direction. This wasn't seen, as all she had was her like attacking sprint, and she would never use a dodge to get free from her player. It's really important to have like these like kind of dodging like ways to get free, because it helps you to get free and be an option for your player. So it's really important to be an option, because that's how you get the ball down to your shooters and have an opportunity to shoot. Another weakness of the centre was her stage 1 defence. So the defender covers like half the attacking player, so the body's slightly angled to the attacking player's uncovered side. Position was really close, like within arm's reach of the attacker. The stance should be shoulder width apart, and the weight should be balanced, and the balls of her feet and arms flexed at the front or the side of the body, head up watching the player and the ball, and the aim is to mark so closely to the player to prevent the player from receiving the ball or making an interception. This is really important in netball for the stage 1, just to apply that initial pressure for the players trying to provide an option, so they can't provide an option, which makes a 3-second error. This wasn't really seen by the centre. She was kind of like not at that arm's reach. She was kind of like floating about, kind of like marking space instead of marking her player, which is a weakness. Another weakness was her agility. So her agility with the dodging. So her body weight over base and knees and ankles should be flexed, and her eyes should be on the ball of the thrower, and then she should run towards planting that foot, left or right foot, and then suddenly driving the opposite direction, using her hands to indicate where she wants the ball. This wasn't really seen so by her player. She wasn't really using these dodges, which highlights her agility was kind of poor. But so when she was kind of trying to do a dodge, her initial trying to change direction was kind of poor. She wasn't like planting that foot and then driving in the opposite direction. She was kind of like doing a banana shape, which wouldn't get free from her player. Another weakness of hers was her strength. So as I said earlier, her shoulder passes were like flat, were slow and loopy. So strength is the maximum force you can apply against a load. So strength is really important in netball, as to get those fast passes and make sure they're not intercepted and getting that ball down the court. So you have the goal shooter and goal attack, having that opportunity to score and getting goals for your team. Having strength is really crucial, so you can maximise your passing and not get them intercepted. This wasn't really seen by the centre, as her shoulder passes were really slow and many of them got intercepted. So the overall effectiveness of the performer was significant, as she had good speed to get away from her defender. However, this was only her only way of getting free. So when facing a better opponent, this would be anticipated by them, and more of her attacking sprints wouldn't kind of work to be free as an option. Most, if not all, of her feeds were successful in feeding the circle, so getting the ball in to the goal shooters and goal attacks. This is crucial as a centre to get the ball in without the defenders getting an interception, so the shooters have an opportunity to shoot. To conclude, the performer overall effectiveness was good, but not excellent. So there's a few things that she could work on. The main highlighted weaknesses were her strength, her shoulder passing, her positioning. However, I've chosen strength to take forward, as the performer would really benefit from her general upper body, as her general upper body strength is kind of weak. This is shown clearly in her passing in a game situation, as many of her passes got interception by the opposition. This programme, not only her strength will improve, but other aspects of her game will see an improvement, as upper body strength is used quite a lot in netball, for example, balancing, core strength, and the strengthening her passing. So before the whole test, before the whole programme, I would do some initial testing. So the testing I'll use before, during, and after the programme would be to analyse her maximum strength. So I'd use the bench press. This is a fundamental exercise for developing upper body strength. So you're not only working your pectorals, you are also working your anterior deltoids and your tricep brachii and latissimus dorsi. So that I'll do the 1 max rep test on the bench press, and then the 1 max reps on the shoulder press as a deltoid, working the deltoids, which are split into 3 groups: anterior, lateral, and posterior. So the 1 max reps is minimal equipment required and is simple to set up and really easy to conduct. I'll do some initial assessments, so I'd make sure I'd have the right fitness levels for the performer, taking into consideration her age and gender before conducting the programme. I'd make sure I would liaise with the performer, just to make sure the performer takes ownership and motivates and is fair and realistic to the individual. Also, I would also analyse one of her games, so I'd analyse how many interceptions her passes get and analyse that, and make sure I note down how many interceptions are made from her passing. So she gets that knowledge of result and knowledge of performance. So I'll be doing a 12-week programme. So by doing this, we'll give your body there's plenty of time to rest and recuperate, and for the muscle growth, as muscles don't grow while you're working out, they grow while you're resting. So it's important to have that rest phase in the 12-week programme as well. So as I said, I'd analyse her performance, and I'd hopefully during the programme I'll analyse her performance, and I should be seeing less interceptions of her passing. If I'm not seeing this, I'll liaise with the performer and see what's happening, and adjust the plan accordingly. So that's what I should be seeing throughout the programme, less interceptions being made from her passing. So that I'll make sure there's a visual improvement by the end of the programme. So there's frequent jumping and landing involved in netball, which requires high levels of stamina and cardiovascular fitness. Core stability is crucial in holding the body in a stationary position when passing or even shooting, although contact is limited in netball, but there's still twisting and turning, pivoting movements which are common, and also to either make a pass or shake off an opponent. These carry out risks of strain-related injuries to vulnerable joints such as your ankles, your knees. Developing your core stability and mobility will help to improve your balance, making overextension of injuries less likely. Training to increase strength in your core will also help you to generate explosive power required to make that short, sharp sprints down the court or to drive past an opponent. Extension exercises will improve your stretching ability. Rotational exercises will help you to hold in that stable position, so the stable position will help with your passing. So taking up that stable position, making sure you push for your passes will increase the strength of your passing. A core training program for netball should combine flexion and extension exercises to improve flexibility and balance, with exercises to build rotational strength. Interval training will improve your cardiovascular fitness, preparing the performer for the sprints required to cover the court. Preparation warm-ups should include dynamic stretches as well as cardiovascular work such as shuttle runs to raise the body temperature. Cool downs should include a gentle jog and stretching to stop your muscles from seizing up. Flexion exercises such as partner ball swap should help generate greater hip strength and mobility, improving your power and control along with your ability to reach the ball, especially when it's close to the ground. Extension exercise such as medicine ball reverse throws will improve your spine mobility and stability. This helps you to stretch when catching and to hold your torso in a stationary position when shooting or passing. Rotational exercises such as standing plate twist improves your rotational strength and mobility. This increases the power and distance of your throws and further helps to stabilise your body. The program will use a combination of core exercises and arm exercises. This will help to improve the performer's overall passing and strength, as when passing you don't just use your arm strength, you use your whole body in the passes. So you'll be working on your core, which is very important. I'll make sure the technique of the player's passing is correct, but by adding an extra session to work on general passing before the program, I make sure the accuracy of her passing. So I'll be doing this by doing a simple test of hitting a certain spot on like a wall and count how many times she does that in like 30 seconds. And I'll do that assessment every 4 weeks. And if I'm not seeing an improvement in that, then I'll liaise with the performer, and so the performer can take ownership of her goals in getting an increase in hitting the accuracy of her passing, and I'll adjust the program accordingly. So if I'm seeing great improvements, I'll increase some of the kind of exercise she's been doing, or increase the intensity of her training if I see a greater improvement. So nutrition is really important when devising a strength kind of program. So she'll have a pre-training meal at least like 30 minutes before the session, which will contain of like carbs and protein. So for example, like egg whites and like rice. And she'll have a post-training meal as well. So that will be like protein again and carbs again. So as protein will boost the protein synthesis and muscle and strength. I would suggest like having that as a liquid form, such as like protein shakes, as due to like the pre and digestion time. Bicarbonate, which also added to her diet, which acts as a buffer to neutralise and a rise in acidity in the bloodstream, just to delay that onset muscle soreness. So the program will include in these exercises the medicine reverse ball throws at like a weight of 3 kg, and 10 reps of 2 sets and like a 30-second rest. Standing plate twist, weight of 5 kg, 10 reps, 2 sets. and a 30-second rest in between these kind of sets. Partner ball swaps, so the weight of 3 kg and the 10 reps of 2 sets and the rest of 30 seconds. So every 2 weeks I will be increasing the weight, and then the following 2 weeks I'll be increasing the sets, and then the following 2 weeks I'll be decreasing the rest. So I would go, and then with this program I'll be analysing throughout, so if I'm not seeing an improvement then I will liaise with the performer and make sure we're at the like correct weight or correct sets and reps and like a correct rest time. Using these like muscle groups is really good for the performer, as like these are the main muscle groups you'll be using in like a netball situation. Also, so that's like the core program, and then the following, so that'll be like every Tuesday she'll be doing core exercises, and then like on a Thursday she'll be doing some shoulder exercises, so obviously developing that upper body strength, so dumbbell shoulder press, dumbbell lateral raises, dumbbell rear deltoid raises, dumbbell shrugs and dumbbell curl and dumbbell clean. So all of that will be at 80% of 1 max rep, and obviously that develops with the program because I'll be analysing how many 1 max reps she can do, so that would be changing every week. It'll be 3 sets of 10 reps for each one of those, and a 60-second rest. So she'll have her games on the Sunday, so obviously I'll be analysing her games on that, and then on the following Monday I'll have like that analytic session where I tell her how many interceptions from her passing has been made, and then she get kind of like that ownership and the motivation, get that knowledge of result and the knowledge of performance, and she can like if she's getting loads of her passes like accurate, then she kind of like knows that kinesthetics feel. However, if she's not getting her passes accurate and they're getting interceptions, she can like rethink that kinesthetics feel and work on that. I'm done.